This is the third and last part of a mock analytics engineer interview led by Nikita. Have a nice time watching.
Part 5, development, deployment, and post-deployment.
As an analytics engineer, you expected to use like dbt, right? And
I
a lot of companies, you use dbt core or dbt CLI, which means that you should use Git for version controlling of your code. You should know some specific commands or in general how it works to save your code, to make some changes, and to review the code of your colleagues.
Now I'm regretting that I missed Tima's project on CI/CD. I will just try to.
It's not only related to CI/CD, so I think one of the questions, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least let's try. Yeah, let's try. We will discuss.
Yeah, I will try to give answer whatever I know from whatever I know. Okay, dbt models are ready. Key considerations: pull request size. How can you ensure your pull request is appropriately scoped and not too large or too small? I think pre-test or something like that. With I didn't finish that project. I don't know the answer for this one.
Let's discuss. Do you know what is this pull request?
Yes, I know. Should I explain?
Yeah, could you explain how it works? Go to the second question, and could you just not mention the commands, but also how the pull request is created, and then we will answer the first question.
Write the Git commands needed to perform the following actions. Create a new branch. First you push. Oh no, you pull the repository from the Git, your project repository, and you create.
How you do commands?
Pull something. I don't remember.
Yeah, so if you already cloned the repository, you can just type git clone or like git pull, and you pull all the changes and you update your repository. Right, git pull. Okay, next.
Then you create new branch just to do your development on your own branch and do not mess with main branch. Command is, I think, branch B and name or something like that.
Almost. Yeah, let me type. Okay. Just to have it. Yeah, the first command is git pull. We just pull the changes. Next one is git checkout B.
Oh, B. Yeah.
And then branch name.
Branch name.
Right. And we create a new branch names. They have some specific naming convention. So we can, if you want to add something new, we just call it feature and I don't know, add sales performance model or like some feature. We try to name it to understand easily what we are doing here. Or if we want to fix some bugs, issues, we have like hotfix or bug fix slash, and then we just what fix, I don't know, update performance logic. So also the name should reflect what we are doing. Hotfix feature slash name of what we are doing. And this is the command. So we created our branch. What next?
Next, and you do your changes on your branch.
Okay.
And then you check the status of your Git. And you Git status, I think.
Git status. And you check all the changes what you made.
Yeah. Then you sync your branch with the latest updates from the main branch. Again, git pull.
I think when we just...
we did it, yeah.
But I think it's used if we are like developing for a long time. Maybe there were some additional updates. So
yeah. Push your changes to the remote repository. So after you check the Git status, you push these changes to some kind of stage. The command was...
But what we do before pushing?
Well, if you were developing for a long time, you should get the updates and run the git pull command again. And
Sergey is suggesting the right thing, right?
What is it? I don't see.
It's add. So we made some changes.
Git add. Yeah, so this is what I tried to say.
Okay.
All your changes need to go to like some kind of staging.
We can save our changes, something like this. Yeah. So git add.
Adds your changes
Do you know,
to somewhere.
yeah. If you want to, do you know command if you want to save? We have several. For example, we made several changes in several models.
Mm-hmm.
We have after git status, we see several stages.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to save specific change or all changes?
I think specific change, it might have some kind of ID. I don't exactly remember what.
So in
Point or
status, we see
something like
some.
that. I don't remember the exact name. So it's like ID or point, something like that. It's all changes that you, and then after that, you can push your change.
No, yeah, one more step before this.
Commit.
Yeah, git commit, right. We need to commit our changes. Git commit, what next?
And hopefully, I think you can now.
No, continue. It's not the full command, actually.
Oh, git commit, you can add message.
And then message. So,
yeah.
and we are describing what we like, I don't know,
What
edit subscriptions to events model, right?
Yep.
Next one.
Git push.
Git push, I think even this command is longer. So git push, it suggests that you should push it. I think it's longer command, something like it. But yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. So basically, it pushes all these changes to the remote repository, and from that point, whoever manages the repository can create pull request and open your request and either accept it or reject it and return you back if there are something.
Let's go back to our first questions. We worked on some issue, we created a new branch, made some changes, made a commit, made push, and then we just create a PR. So we maybe added some additional information what we did, and now another analytics engineer and a manager is reviewing this. How this PR should be scoped, not too large, small. I think it's more like in general consideration. So it should be all the changes, they should be related to one problem. Yeah. To one problem that we issues. All the changes, they should be somehow like related, right? So maybe if it's a big, and we should create like maybe some changes step by step by using commits, and if it done, then we can. I think here it's more like, as I see, it should not be too big. So if it's too big, maybe it's better to separate it.
Yeah, so you should push your changes like more often after finishing like one development or change or fix. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go next.
Monitoring and alerts. Where should test failure alerts be sent to notify your team? Outline an error handling process to efficiently resolve issues, including who is responsible for fixing failures and the expected turnaround time before deploying a fix. It should go to your email or to Slack or Discord, where your team mostly works. And usually it's a one person from data engineers, or they might take turns and be responsible, create their schedules, I guess. For one day, there should be one person who is monitoring night, or I don't know, depending on the agreement. And this person who identifies this issue will have a list of people who can fix the issue and send this, I don't know, create accident or incident and send a ticket to appropriate person from the data engineering team. And expect the turnaround time before deploying a fix. Turnaround time before deploying a fix. Well, it should be fixed as soon as possible. I don't know. If it's a working ETL process, it shouldn't take a long time, I think, to fix the issue. So turnaround should be in the same day, I guess.
And other techniques for monitoring.
Well, in
preventing the errors. Maybe, yeah.
BT analytics engineers, I guess. Well, okay, to create all this testing strategy, try to catch as much as possible errors, issues on your data. Try to catch all these causes that might cause the failures, but other than that, like I don't know, in big companies like banks, there are also people who basically monitors 24/7 all these ETL pipelines. And
I think for Slack notification and maybe emails or something like this, and for time before fix or like for fix, I think it should depend on the importance. So some of the alerts could be like just the warnings. If these alerts are critical, maybe we can just add some additional stakeholders involved. Okay, if we have a critical alert, maybe I don't know, like CTO should get an alert, right? Something, I don't know, maybe not CTO, but like some high leadership person, just to immediately address the problem.
okay.
For other things that I was thinking about, it's just we can use CI/CD. With CI/CD, we can automatically have some checks or like run some dbt run and test commands before merging the PR. For example, we can use GitHub Actions for this. So we before merging the PR, when we just create a pull request, GitHub automatically runs some commands and check some data, right? And if there are some issues, we'll automatically get notification about it that you should fix it before, or you have this and these issues. The same, I think we had a video about pre-commit hooks. We can even locally create some, we can create some rules that automatically fix some issues. For example, we can use some linters, fluff, that automatically fix our code.
Now I recall.
I was thinking, you can add like this. Let's talk about the last question.
Maintaining downstream stability. If you need to rename tables or columns in the MART layer, how would you ensure that downstream dependencies remain intact? That's a good question. In the MART layer, downstream dependencies remain intact. I don't know.
Let's think about an example. Let's imagine that we have this events table, and we use this table in a lot of dashboards, reports. For some reason, we just decided to rename it.
Yeah.
So if we will rename it, what will happen?
Everything gets broken down.
Yeah.
We shouldn't rename.
That's one of the options, but I don't know if we need it.
If we need for some reason, I guess we can clone this table. Nowadays, databases allows to clone one table, and you can change the clone of that table and change names, columns without affecting the source table. Other than that, I don't know. Other options.
I think one of the features of dbt that we see the lineage of all our models. And we can track what are the dependencies. If we change something in
one place and you go to other,
you can see the whole lineage from source to mark.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, and even for dashboards, there is like a thing called exposure in dbt. So we can create like exposure. It's like exposure to like additional model where we write something like this. It's like a dashboard, and we reference the Mars model, and we can see what dashboards I use this model, and we can just manually go and update it there.
Such a great tool, dbt. I didn't know.
Also, I think we can use something called, dbt, there are some other things like aliases. I think we can rename it, but still like we'll have like an alias that we can reference. Also, there are versions. We can create different versions of the models. And we can just use one version of the model. And when we change something there, we create a version number 2.0, with all the changes. And the dashboard will still reference the first version. But once we update it, we reference the second version. And once we update everything, we can just depreciate the first version, just use it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Once again, let's review everything that we discussed for this part. Could you just summarize what we discussed for this part number 5?
So for this part, we discussed deployment, pre-deployment, and post-deployment situations. How should we ensure that the pull request is in appropriate size, not big, not small? And we discussed all these GitHub commands, basically from pulling the repository and then pushing back all your developments and changes. How should we monitor and get the alerts whenever we have issues with the process? And how should we identify which are the critical fixes and which are not? To maintain downstream stability, should we use DBT's exposure, you said, in stable versions, in case we need to rename or change the data table structure in marked layer. Seems like DBT is a really good tool.
I think you know everything, at least you understand, right? You
Yeah.
understand the key concepts, so you just need a little practice and maybe some a little bit details. For example, for this downstream stability, there are a lot of features, but they are not maybe so popular. So the main thing is how I do it, just see the lineage and just manually update it, right? But for the Git commands, I think
I need to practice.
you should know it, right? And yeah, I like to maybe think CI/CD is also as a process is quite important in development, and as analysts and engineers are more and more using like this development practices. But you have like an understanding, right? Sergey, Maxim, do you have any feedback for this part or like any insights?
In different companies, definitely people different manage kind of development process. But I guess DBT version, I know less. I know nothing about DBT, but we do have environment, so I guess that helps to roll out the changes in most sustainable way. I think definitely the best, but then you need to manage environment. So I guess DBT has this versioning thing. It's definitely a good thing to start with. And I guess I will start thinking that if there's a dependency on the downstream, we can create a view, can rename the columns, but we create a view with all column names and sort of don't break the downstream dependency. I don't know how it's sustainable, but definitely could be a transition if you need to quickly sort of don't break downstream dependencies, but still rename the columns, something like that.
Good point. Awesome. Yeah, so that's it for today. How you feel in general, Aisha?
That was really interesting interview. I have to learn a lot, and I learned a lot today. Thank you for that. I think it's really cool, to discuss and to have different points of view from different professionals. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Mostly, I think we had a great discussion. I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much. I will share this task later today. Thank you for the participation.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Goodbye.